everybody. You got us back again. Happy Wednesday. It is 7 p.m. East Coast time right here on Storm Talk 365. Conversations with Miss B. We got Christopher Allen, Issues of Men every Wednesday at 7 p.m. East Coast time right here on Storm Talk 365 Radio. You can find us on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, many, many more. But right now, you got us live on Facebook with me, Miss B. Conversations with Miss B. Thank you, Christopher, for joining us. Hey.
Definitely. Thank you. And I want to welcome everybody to episode 2 of I.O.M, the Issues of Men on Storm Talk 365 Radio Network. Before I begin, I want to read this disclaimer. And it's some of you may agree or disagree with the views expressed during this discussion. But please keep in mind that this is solely from my experience, my observation, and perspective. And you are entitled to your own. So I just wanted to go ahead and get that out the way and say that before we begin. And men, and I just wanted to address this. Why men shouldn't be the only provider in the household. And I only have, maybe I only have a few reasons why men should be the provider of the only provider of the household. If he's making a minimum of $120,000 a year, he definitely could be the sole provider of the household. If unless if you have children, if you are together with someone, you have children, not that you're homeschooling or they're at too young of an age where the mother needs to be there in the house. I don't foresee, not unless there's a health issue, I really don't foresee, why the man should be the only provider in the household. And I'm going to get into exactly why I feel that way. But before I begin getting into those reasons, Miss B, how do you feel about a man being the only provider in the household?
Well, it depends on the relationship and the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there are health issues, if there's a prearranged agreement that the woman has other responsibilities that he recognizes and he prefers that she not work, if there are an abundance of children and it's cheaper for her to stay home than to play daycare and different things, there are a lot of different reasons why. I'm not going to say men are the only breadwinners, but women don't work. I think it is something that should be handled on an individual basis. But I also think as a woman, you should not be controlled and told that you can't work, that you can't be self sustaining, that you have to give up your dreams and your goals professionally because now you're married and totally be controlled by a man because he has all authority financially. So again, there's a lot of different things that I could talk about, but I don't want to sidetrack you from the points that you want to make. But I think that every relationship should be handled differently, and there should be no specific guidelines as to whether a man should or should not be the only breadwinner. And I like the fact that you said have a cap that should be in place before you decide that the woman does not have to contribute, because anything, like you said, under $100,000 is really going to be, especially now, a strain because it's
Straight.
not enough finances. But as I hand it over back to you, we have to be mindful that we're talking about today, and today's economy suggests that it's a risk for it to be a one income family because the way businesses are closing down, the economy is very shaky. Um, if you only have one person and that person is no longer the breadwinner, jobs are not easy to find, benefits are running out. So we have to take into consideration at the time we're talking. So thank you for asking me my opinion, Chris.
Ms. B, you're welcome. And you made some very great and valid points into my reasoning. Um, and one of those too, I was like, I really feel that, um, the woman should definitely be running her own business. She's not, running her own business from home, possibly, finishing her education, or doing something that is going to be productive. And I'm going to tell you why a little bit later. And this is just from my own personal experience dealing with um, starting out in a relationship. And we had two incomes in the household, but it ended up winding up being one income in the household. And that was because they weren't honest with me to say that, hey, I want to be a homemaker. I want to do this, or I want to go to school. I want to do whatever that is. Um, but just chose to stop working. And sometimes, if that person stops working and you have a two-income household, there's a lot of pressure on the male to find out, to get out there and hustle and do whatever he has to do to make ends meet. Now, there are tons of studies. There are a lot of articles and um, things out there that would tell you that with the man being the only provider in the household, um, it's not good. And some of the reasons that my personal reasons, some of the reasons that I also have read in the past is that men are more stressed out, they're more agitated, um, high anxiety, they're more inclined to break down, um, and very easy to snap. Their mental breakdowns, emotional breakdowns. So this is something that I want the men to get and understand too. Um, why you should have your wife to be of assistance in finances in the home. The other reason that I really, most men were taught from birth all the way up until we get out on our own that we're supposed to take care of the household. There's certain things that you're supposed to be doing. And with this being, put on you from day one, most men feel like, for example, if he lost his job and he can't provide for his household, he becomes depressed. Um, he may even start drinking. He may even start getting high because he doesn't know any other way to express or how to deal with that situation of him not being able to provide for his family. Um, Men are more prone to get sick, more prone to get injured. And to be honest, most men are less likely to go to the doctor or go see a doctor before a
I
woman.
got one. I know.
We try to be Superman, but we are far from it. We're far from being a Superman. Um, and again, I just want to go back to the financial aspect, Ms. B. You mentioned earlier about control. And I realized even in my own relationship that when it creates an atmosphere of struggle, power struggle in the household, and if you run in a family, you in love with your woman, and vice versa, it's a place where a power struggle shouldn't be at all. He's in a more, like you said earlier, he's in more a position of power and control. Um, and he may decide to give her an allowance. He may not. She's going to be looking to get things. She wants to shop. She wants to do X, Y, and Z. But if she doesn't have her own money or have an allowance to do so, she's going to do those things outside of the home, first and foremost. Um, Another issue that I want to bring up in regards to why men should not be the sole provider in the household is that um, even if, I'll just put it like this for most women, even if he says that he wants you to be at home to take care of the kids, or he wants you to be the homemaker, um, he has good intentions with that. But the problem with that is that, uh, Miss B, is that eventually he's not going to look at you the same. It doesn't matter that you taking care of the kids. It doesn't matter that you are cleaning, you're taking care of the house. It doesn't matter that you're doing the shopping and things of those nature. It's just not going to be. It's no longer good that he, you're looking good when he comes home and things like this. It's not going to hold up after a period of time. He's going to start to resent you um, for him doing everything that he needs to do, and for him, everything that you do is not enough. Although it is a contributing factor, there is a balance to that. Um, so let's be like, how do you feel about as far as a man viewing a woman the equal? You're in a relationship, you're in the same household, and he's the provider. What is your take on? I mean, I don't know if this ever happened to you in your life, or maybe you want to share just some experience in regards to that, where the value of you is lessened because you're not able to work, or you're not able to bring finance in the household.
Well, in reality, my situation is that I do stay at home. I do not work outside of the home, and the network is not bringing in any financial support at all. My husband, I was in nursing for years. I was a caretaker for my parents. A lot has happened, and my husband just stood up and said, "Enough is enough. I don't want you working for anybody unless it's yourself." And even when I suggest I need to do something to make money, he said, "No, we'll be okay." Now, that's because, in my opinion, he's a praying man, and he looks at me with respect, and he wants to take care of me because he knows I don't take good care of myself. But because I'm able to do what he's asked me to do, I am able to devote a lot of time to the network. I have chosen not to involve money with the network because it's a headache, to be honest with you. But that being said, how men look at women when they become um, a burden can happen real quickly because, like you said, it starts out with a good intent. So let me tell you, with my husband, it had gotten to the point where he was walking around, and it really got tense because his job situation changed and the income changed. So then it was like, okay, I'm not doing too good on my own. I need some help here. And so, even though he did not want me to work, he started asking questions about, you know, can you file for Social Security? Can you do this? I need some help here. Things are happening. So, even with a praying man, when you're under pressure, um, you do become resentful and upset and discouraged because if you miss a day from work, that's a paycheck that's short. That's a lot of pressure. So whether you're in your 60s like we are, that should be ready to retire and comfortable, or 30, 40s, and 50s, again, it has to be a sense of balance. And unfortunately, a lot of women are in that position because they feel entitled. You need to be
Mm,
taking care of me. You need to be taking care of me. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And they don't realize that it's a team effort. And
absolutely.
I personally, um, I understand because I asked for permission. May I have? Is it okay? Can I do this time? Because he is the one bringing in the money, and I don't want to assume that I can just write a check that I shouldn't. You see what I'm saying?
And Ms. B, how many, and I know even for myself, one time I was injured and I had to ask, you know, um, on one end it is good to ask, but after a certain period of time, as a man or a woman, we'll get tired of asking for assistance or asking for help. Um, because in reality, a lot of times it's like if somebody's dangling a carrot over your head, and they'll be looking for something in return for that, or look at you in a certain way, as we discussed before. But one of the things that, in my experience, would be the primary caretaker in a home, primary breadwinner, saving money for a rainy day became difficult. You
Absolutely.
know, usually there was usually there was none. Um, and usually maxed out the credit card. The credit card was always nearly maxed. Um, wasn't really to and be able to enjoy the fruits, really of my labor. Um, didn't really go on vacations. You may have a daycation and things of that nature, but um, nobody didn't have any money to save or spend. You know, we might look good, look healthy, but the whole situation was it became a burden. It became very stressful. And again, I want to talk about, um, as you said, you're in your 60s now. You talk about retirement, household. Um, you have a partner that is not working. Um, it's going to be far. I mean, as far as saving, it's going to be a long time before you're able to save or do what how you plan. I want to save, $400, $300 a month. You're not going to be able to put away $300 a month being the only primary caretaker unless you're making, like I said earlier, a minimum of $120,000 a year. Um, and so, to me, it was almost like, okay, outside of the children being of a certain age and they're going back to school, it's like you've lost you lost 10 years, 15, 20 years of being able to save, potential savings and money. And, even if you had a financial agreement, whereas though if she was working part time, it was like, hey, I'm gonna take care of this, you can take care of this, but a little bit extra that you have, would you be able to put a part of that into the savings, so we can be able to build it up a little bit more quicker. So again, communication um, in your household is also a great thing that you should have. Being able to minimize a lot of times. You have all the necessities that you have, but a lot of us want, we have the Joneses. We want to drive the BMs, the Mercedes, and things of that nature. So when those things are going on, um, and you're trying to do this off one income, again, it's very stressful for the man. Um, I just feel too, another situation that's dealing with this is, let's talk about not enough time, but a lack of time together.
Mm.
So when he's out working, um, 10, 8, 10, 16 hours a day, doing what he's doing, when a woman has a lot of time on her hands, or a male has a lot of time on his hands, what's going to end up happening is she or he is going to start thinking like, you're not working all that time. You spend the time with somebody else, or you're with somebody else. Um, One of the things that I did that happened to me as well is that when you are working these many hours, the woman gets lonely. Just a little bit of time that you have at home, a little bit of time that you have to spend with the kids, they start acting out, and it becomes an issue. Um, have you had any thoughts, anything like that happened in your personal relationship or relationships in your life where maybe the male was a breadwinner and he wasn't coming home, he was staying out longer? Did it bring any doubt in your mind?
Okay, I'm gonna give you two scenarios, and you asked some very good points, and I'm happy to share my personal experiences. I'm gonna start with my current marriage. I've been married twice, once to my biological father's, I guess the children's father, and to my husband. There's a difference. So my husband, you're absolutely right. He works a lot of hours, and our time together is limited. And I get excited when I get a half a day with him. Again, there were times where we were financially stable, and we did have the income for emergencies or whatever. But we allowed ourselves to help adult children, and it got to the point where now we're in our 60s and we still have to take care of ourselves, but we don't have any regrets about what we've done and what we're doing. But you're right. And for the younger generation, there is probably some insecurities about what is she doing with all this time. And, um, even though she knows he's working, she gets resentful. You're never home. I got to take care of the kids all by myself. We never have any time together. Well, sister girl, you can't have it both ways. So, there comes a time where either you're going to be selfish or supportive. Now, in my first marriage, um, even though it's been years ago, it was when the children were young. I was the one that worked 2 and 3 jobs, and their father was the one that always had to find himself, and he was always looking for a different job because he thought he, was all of that and 10 cents too because he had a college degree, but he wanted to decide, I don't want to work here. I don't want to work here. So I was a major breadwinner as a nurse. All nurses make good money, and so a lot of times he was at home, and even when he was at home, he did not take care of the children. So I've experienced both sides of it, having money and being able to say I'm good to the point where my husband is now working all the time. And because we're stable in our relationship, um, and I don't worry about what he's doing at work. And he knows that my health is to the point where ain't no way in the world she's cheating on me. But in some of the, I'm going to say, younger marriages, there could be some trust issues there. But again, it comes to the point where you have to decide. Either you're going to let this man work, take care of you, and you do your part, and that goes to the Proverbs woman. But again, it takes faith to hold those types of relationships together. And I'm a faith-based woman.
Absolutely.
And if you think you're going to handle all of these storms in your life without some type of faith, Satan's going to come in and create situations that's going to tear you all apart. So, my suggestion and my success has been based because every time something looks like it's going left, I turn right and trust God and read the scriptures and say, okay, what's expected of me as a wife? What's expected of him as a husband? And how can I make things better for him? Because he is sacrificing for me to stay at home because of my health issues.
And you know, even to expand on it a little bit more, I think the nagging, the arguments, and the resentment started to set in. Um, being as her being the homemaker, and even though it wasn't my choice, it's something that I had to take on because I took on, being married. I took on being in a relationship with that person. Um, and then, I think one of the things too that men really have to understand too is um, women have dreams too. Um, her dreams, her goals, her accomplishments. What does she want to do? Um, and the thing with that is, if your relationship doesn't work, and you decide to move on, and she was a homemaker, she never went to school, she never got a degree. She's definitely going to be very angry and very resentful. Um, so, how is she going to live now? And she's definitely, especially if you're married, she's going to go the distance to get what she can, the most that's allowable. Alimony, you know. So this is a situation that you want to avoid. Um, and as Miss B said a little bit earlier about insecurities, a lot of men do use situations like this to be in a position of control and power, um, to prevent her from leaving or prevent her from doing the things that she needs to do. But um, I would just say that um, you just got to think about her means to survive. If you happen to die, if you happen to get injured and you can't work anymore, um, again, she has to have that means and that power to be able to step up at any time and be able to work. So just put that into consideration as well.
Mm.
Um, whether again with her going to school or doing something at some point, if she is the homemaker, just put her in a place of position. Even if you have a business, Maybe she can be your secretary, take your calls, or do something. Make sure that she feels value in the relationship. Not just somebody at home who's just taking care of the kids or taking care of the house. You can hire a maid for that. But I'm just saying that, gentlemen, we have to be able to think outside the box, not just always consider ourselves in certain circumstances and situations. Um, and again, I would just go back to, to working all the time, your health, your mental capacity, your mental issue, emotional. Um, because when you come home, you know, you want somebody to talk to, but if you don't have good communication, if your relationship is messed up, that's not going to happen for you. So again, I just really just want you guys to take this in consideration. And
Chris, can I
yes,
ask 1 second? Um, Another thing about communication. Another reason why my husband and I are able to weather the storm. Um, yes, my husband works long hours, but for years, literally years, every day on his breaks, twice or three times a day, he calls me. We spend 20 to 30 minutes on the phone. Um, at one time,
that's
we were doing
awesome.
FaceTime, but every day, no matter what, I schedule things around his break time, and we talk. How was your day? How was your day? And a lot of time, it's about what's going on with him at work, and he can vent. You know what I'm saying? And then we can talk how the dogs, how is everybody, it keeps him connected to home, even though he's away from home. So I have to go back to the stability of the relationship in the beginning. Um, One thing that I learned in my older years, that relationships are in your control. They always have been. But you have to decide, what's the purpose of the relationship? What's the expectations of each other in the relationship? What are your responsibilities in the relationship? How much are you going to tolerate in the relationship? And then the very last thing is, what are your limits for that relationship? And so, whether it happens before you get married or during the marriage or relationship, those things must be addressed. That includes financial responsibility. And so, a lot of people just, hip hop down the yellow brick road and think getting married is, let's have sex whenever time we want to, and you know, let's buy a house, this, that, and the other. But the groundwork needs to be established, and more importantly for me, my husband and I had our faith established together. Before we got married, I helped him get involved with his faith. I'm not going to say church. I'm not going to say
right.
religion, but he was a single man doing what he wanted to do, and we had Bible studies, and we watched certain evangelists on TV together. And then when we got married, we carried that, and we handled everything in faith. So, um, communication on every level for everything in every area of your life is important. Don't just assume it's going to fix itself. Don't
Absolutely.
assume that you know finances are going to fix itself. How often you have sex, what you want to eat, who's going to clean what. All of that needs to be. And then most people just get mad and fuss about it instead of saying, "How is this working for you? Would that work for you? This is how I would like it." And you know what I'm saying? But people don't do
Yes.
that.
And Miss B, we, even in my marriage, what I found out was a good thing to do is sometimes we give ourselves grades in areas. We'll be having a conversation like, this week we might have had a C in regards to X, Y, and Z. But we do have those conversations. So when we're um, maybe what if something's going wrong, if I'm not being communicative enough, I'm not being affectionate enough, and things of that nature. So that's why you check in, you have these conversations often, so that um, you always know where you are in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Um, and so, with all the facts, gentlemen, with all the facts laid out, as men, and we're going to be the provider for a household, how can we remain healthy? And how do we make sure that the woman in our relationship feels loved, she feels valued? Um, So my final points this evening in regards to that, again, we have to stop with this entitlement that I'm in charge because I make the money. How would you feel if she made the money and she treated you like that? I have the power. I make the money. You do what I say.
Some women do.
Yeah, they do. And I also want you to recognize that um, she puts in work too. Make her provide for that. Buy her flowers, get her a gift, hug her, kiss her, do something to make sure that she feels appreciated. Because again, you know, she does most of the things with the kids most of the time. Maybe she even pays the bills. Again, grocery shopping, fixing the food, all that stuff. All that stuff takes time. It takes effort, and it's draining. So if you show your appreciation for her, you'll be able to maximize, her abilities, and she'll appreciate you more and value you more. And that's in this particular circumstance and situation. I also think that Miss Me and Miss B, we talked about communication. Call and talk to her. If you're going to be away, during the course of the day, again, call, um, FaceTime. Do those type of things that's going to make her feel valued and let her know that that she's valued and loved.
And I
So
do.
that's good. So I mean, it does make a whole difference. When you come home, she's not going to be nagging you as much or complaining, and you're like, I just got in the house. Like, stop it.
Well, actually, as soon as he leaves work, he calls me. I'm on my way, and he talks to me on the way home. So we have communication. So that's very important.
And so, these are some of the lessons and values that I want people to start to get and understand that'll make your relationship, again, it'll make it worthwhile, definitely last longer. And again, you'll have less issues. So, with that being said, next week's show, we're going to be talking about the issues of our young generation, our young men having children too early. And we're going to talk about the effects of that next week here on Storm Talk 365 Radio, 7 p.m. Right here. We will be here again, doing it again, bringing these issues to
All
you,
right.
trying to have some conversation, trying to get some enlightenment. And again, we'll be here 7 p.m. next week on Storm Talk 365 Radio Network.
What if they have a topic they want to discuss? Can they bring that to your
Oh,
attention?
you know what, Miss B? I, I apologize about that. But yes, to become a guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about on the show in regards to the issues of men, please send me an email at issuesofmen@gmail.com. And again, we'll definitely give you a shout out on the show for your topic. And if you're a guest on the show, you're definitely going to introduce yourself and we're going to get into it. Again, my contact info is the issuesofmen@gmail.com. You can I'm setting up the Facebook page as well. But for right now, on Instagram, and I'm also author Christopher Allen on Instagram, author Christopher Allen at gmail.com. And listen, my encouraging word for this evening is be the change that you want to see. Be the change that you want to see.
Be the
That's my
change
encouraging word.
you
My
want,
encouraging word
not
for this
that
evening.
other people want to see. Be the change that you want to see.
You want to see, not what somebody else want to see. What you want to see, who you want to be. Do
I
that. Work on that.
I know you've given your closing remarks, but I have one shameful plug that I've got to put out there. This is a faith-based podcast network, and I like to keep things kind of clean, but I also like to give credit where credit is due. You're a part of a movie mini series. Um, this part two is coming out. Can you give a little bit about the movie and the author of the movie?
I am. I was able to land an acting role in a series called The Book Club. It's Book Club 1 and the Book Club 2. There's two series that are on YouTube. The creator, the author of this, her name is Valerie McAllister. Definitely would love you to go and to find this on Facebook. I think what I'll do too is I'll post a link so you guys will have it, and definitely go check her out. She is definitely creative, and it's well worth the watch. Part one and part two. Um, Again, it's amazing. The actors, everybody done an amazing job. Since a lot of times it was a lot of people's first, and it definitely didn't seem like it was their first acting by any stretch of the imagination. So definitely, I was a part of that. My role is I'm a gentleman married to a woman. Her name is Adrian. We have our issues. I'm Lester in the movie, and we're definitely, we say a power couple. We're definitely a power couple, and you'll be able to see the love and the care. And again, the book club two, book club one, and book club two, a very amazing piece of writing, and definitely, guys, go check it out. Please go check it out.
Absolutely. I haven't seen part two because I'm still crying from part one. But that talent is right here in Richmond, Virginia. She needs to be on the
Yes,
big screen. I'm waiting. I said, even with the COVID, turn it into a play and put it on video and charge people to see it. But she has so much talent, and everybody that she has working with her. And I would love to interview the videographer because he did an amazing job. He really did.
and the videographer, his name is Kevin Jackson, and I tell him, even though he doesn't accept it, a lot of people don't like compliments for whatever that reason is. But I still tell him.
There's
I
a
know a
lot
lot
of
of times it's a lot, and he's amazing, definitely amazing videographer. Um, and he did all I can say, he did an amazing job of putting this together, and he made us work. You talking about 4, 5, 6 takes? I mean, and he had these takes from every angle that you could possibly have to be able to put this together. So he definitely made us work, and it's the work shows. Thank you, Kevin.
Well, everybody, there you have it. Christopher Allen. He's an actor, author, model. He's got a lot going on. But that being said, right now, he's I.O.M. Issues of Men, the host on Storm Talk 365 Radio every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. East Coast time, right here on Storm Talk 365 Radio, where you can find myself, Chris, and other podcasters at www.stormtalk365radio.com, where we help you to talk to the storms in your life. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us, and everyone else. We look forward to you joining us next week for the new topic, and I'm just excited. How y'all boys gonna be out there making babies, and you're still a baby yourself?
Babies making babies.
Babies making babies. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night. Bye, bye, Chris.
Good night. Thank you.